In a quiet part of Lagos, in a neighborhood known as Oluwasian Estate, where bright streetlights stood beside aging buildings and luxury houses rose behind high gates, there lived a man whose name carried both respect and fear. His name was Obed. He was the richest man in the entire area. His mansion stood at the edge of the estate, tall, shining, surrounded by high walls, security lights, and silence. The kind of house people admired from a distance, but never dared to question. But there was one thing everyone whispered about. No matter how late the night became, no matter how tired he looked, Obed never slept inside his own house. At first, it sounded like gossip. The kind of story people laugh about and forget. But one night, something happened that no one could ignore. The entire street was awake. Neighbors gathered outside Obed's compound, murmuring, confused, restless. The gate was open. The lights inside the mansion flickered strangely. And in the middle of the crowd stood a young boy. Chike. Barefoot. Shaking. His eyes wide with fear. He had been caught inside Obed's mansion. People assumed the worst. A thief. But the boy kept shaking his head, his voice trembling, his body refusing to stand still. He wasn't there to steal. Something had called him. Something he could not explain. He had heard a sound. A voice. Crying. From inside the walls. The moment those words left his mouth, the entire street fell silent. A silence so deep, even the night seemed to listen. Some people forced out nervous laughter. Others looked away, unwilling to believe what they had just heard. But Obed did not laugh. For a brief moment, something changed in his face. Something heavy. Something hidden. Something afraid. That same night, instead of entering his mansion, Obed locked the gate behind him, walked to his car, and drove off into the darkness. Leaving the house behind. Standing. Silent. Watching. Chike was taken to a quiet corner of the estate. Far from the noise and the whispers, to a small bungalow where an old woman lived alone. Her name was Mama Ada. People said she understood things that could not be seen. Things that could not be explained. The kind of things people only spoke about in low voices. When she placed her hand gently on the boy's head, the room became still. Very still. The air changed. And after a long moment, she spoke softly. Not with fear. But with certainty. That house was not empty. Days passed, but the unease in the neighborhood did not fade. Then, slowly, it began. Every night, at exactly midnight, a faint sound echoed from Obed's mansion. At first, it was barely noticeable. Like the wind passing through broken spaces. But soon, it became clearer. A soft cry. A broken voice. Calling a single name. Ayo. The sound spread through the estate like a sickness. Sleep became difficult. Lights flickered without reason. Dogs barked into the darkness as if they could see what humans could not. Some people tried to ignore it. Others pretended it wasn't real. But those who laughed, those who mocked the story, slowly disappeared. Chike could not stay away. Something kept pulling him back. A force stronger than fear. Stronger than reason. He returned to the mansion. This time, the gate opened slowly, as if it had been waiting. The compound was too quiet. The air felt heavy. Inside, the walls no longer felt like walls. They felt alive. Listening. Watching. Remembering. And then, he saw it. A faint reflection, inside the wall. The shape of a small boy. Still. Crying. Trapped between silence and memory. Chike ran back to Mama Ada, his heart racing, his mind unable to hold what he had seen. When he mentioned the name, Eo, the old woman froze. Because that name was not new. Years ago, a child had gone missing in that same neighborhood. A child no one ever found. A child everyone eventually forgot. The same year, Obed became rich. The truth did not come all at once. It came slowly. Piece by piece. Like something buried, forcing its way back to the surface. Obed's wealth was not ordinary. It was not luck. It was not hard work. It came with a price. A terrible price. The kind that demands sacrifice. The kind that takes what matters most. And in his desperation, in his hunger for power, Obed gave up the one thing he loved more than anything else. His own child. Eo. Hidden beneath the mansion. Buried in silence. Forgotten by the world. But never at peace. The night everything ended. The entire estate felt it. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The lights in the mansion burst and flickered violently. The walls cracked as if they could no longer hold what was inside them. People ran out of their homes. Fear filled the air. This time, no one could pretend. No one could look away. Obed stood before the house. And for the first time, he could not run. The truth had finally caught up with him. The earth began to open. Slowly. Deliberately. As if it had been waiting for this moment. And from beneath, a soft glow rose into the night. Not violent. Not angry. Just painfully quiet. The spirit of a child. Eo. And in that moment, everyone understood. The whispers. The cries. The sleepless nights. Why the richest man in the estate never slept in his own house. Because the house was no longer his. The ground slowly pulled him in. As silence filled the air. No struggle could save him. No wealth could protect him. By morning, the mansion was gone. Reduced to silence and dust. The crying stopped. The air became calm again. Peace returned to Olivesian estate. But the lesson remained. In a world where people chase wealth, power, and status, there is always a price. And some prices are too heavy to carry. Because no matter how far you run, no matter how deeply you hide the truth, what is buried in darkness will always find its way back. If only they had asked. If only they had listened. If only they had known.